G'day Aussie Gamers, Lucas from Aussie Gamers Express here, bringing a review for a game called 20XX or 2000XX, whichever way you want to go. Now this game is an early access beta, which is available now on Steam, and it looks strikingly a lot like a Mega Man game, which is not a bad thing. I would almost say this is more enjoyable for me than any Mega Man game that I've played in the past. It's a beautiful game, as you can see, the graphics, but let me explain why. Let's go and do my playthrough. Now first off, you get thrown into this hub world here, as you can see, and this is where you go around to choose all the different game modes that you wish. There's normal mode there, and next to it is casual mode, which is a slightly easier game mode with extras that you can add on. On top of that, you've also got the daily challenge, the daily hardcore challenge, a weekly challenge, and a weekly hardcore challenge, which is pretty neat. I wasn't expecting that in a game like this. Also, if you go down to the bottom here, you can change your characters. You can either play as Nina, which is the character there that's very much like Mega Man, or you can play as Ace, who has like a short-range sword attack. I prefer Nina, so I'll stick with her. She's got the more pew-pew sort of gun Mega Man style attack there. Now these are all your collectibles, which will also play as sort of upgrades or little buffs as you play, and that's sort of like a little collection there. It shows off on the shelves, which is pretty cool. Now they're only usable in casual mode. So you've also got a multiplayer. There's co-op as well, online. Not only is it just stuck on local, and these are little upgrades that you can purchase using bolts or nuts or whatever you want to call them, which you collect while you're playing the game. There's a few more up the top here as well, which is all pretty neat. So it's a nice little setup for the hub world to get yourself started. Alright, so I might go ahead here and start a normal mode match. If you want to play casual, it's the button next to it, but let's go into normal mode to show you that first. Now the load times are pretty cool. This is nice and short. I'm not going to cut any of that out, and you're about to be done now. So that's pretty quick, which is cool. So first of all, you'll notice that the level designs are, well, the art style of the levels is actually quite nice, and it kind of sticks with its retro platformer, but still looks really up to date with beautiful, crisp 1080p graphics and 60 frames a second motion as well, which is quite nice. It's a good game to play for those reasons as well. Now it's a randomly generated world, so all of the levels, every time you start playing it, they're going to be different. So it's not a linear game by any measure, and I guess the idea of it is to platform your way through with all these different mechanics, which is quite cool, where you got the magnet boots upside down there, and get through to the end of the level and beat a boss, and there's a whole bunch of bosses for you to try out and beat. Now in this playthrough here, I get my ass handed to myself by the boss, but we'll get up to that quite soon. So as I was saying, I just wanted to mention about the random generated levels. They generate quite well. Now I was pretty pleased with how it all worked out, and the level design with the enemy placements, there's a lot of challenge to them. As you can see, I struggle a bit, so probably most of these games are going to be challenging for me. But along with the challenges, it's not so brutal as well, because you've got a health bar and you're not necessarily dying after one hit. And we're about to do the boss now. So this is one of the boss. It's very Mega Man-esque, the way that the boss setup is, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because it does it really well. So I struggled this one because it's got the disappearing platforms and stuff like that. I managed to make a bit of a dent on the boss here, but then that's about as far as I ever get, because those disappearing blocks proved to be my biggest enemy. But look, in playing 20XX or 2000XX, whatever you want to call it, if you are a fan of Mega Man or any of those types of games, you're probably going to love this game. It's fantastic. Now, in a short moment, I'll show you through the slight differences in the casual mode as opposed to normal mode, where you can load in with some different buffs and things like that to give you a little bit more of an edge if you're struggling. But unfortunately, my kind of struggling, I don't think there's anything to help me there. But so I got quite close to killing, but I died. So let's switch over to casual mode. Alright, so we'll go into the casual mode here, and this is where you get to select. Now these are the little buffs that I've managed to collect so far, and you can select up to 3 of those, and I'll get the plumber's hat there to help out with the platforming, and we'll go into it. So basically the buffs or passives will set up the enemies to drop more health, drop more money, give you better platforming abilities with bigger, higher, longer jumps, etc., faster movement, all those sort of things. So that's basically the major difference with the buffs that you get to play in casual mode. Now, just as enjoyable as normal mode, and mostly the same with the randomly generated levels. So this level, just like every single time you start, will be different. You've never actually played that kind of level before because it's just random. It's just going to put together a level on its own just using RNG or random number generator, and it'll be different every time, which does aid a fair bit with replayability. The only thing is, I have heard with random generated levels like this that sometimes the level design isn't perfect or can be a little bit unfair at times with placements of some things as well as where the enemies are, making it a little bit tough. But I mean, I guess that's the idea of it. Sometimes it's going to be hard, sometimes you might be lucky with something a little bit easier, but by all means, I've had a really good time playing the random generated levels. I've had no real dramas with it, and even though I do struggle a bit, but that's my own fault, I guess. But it's a beautiful looking game, and to play a game like this, where it kind of reminds me of my childhood, but to be able to play it in 1080p and 60 frames a second is absolutely beautiful. Now, you can play this with a controller. It has full gamepad support, so I've been using an Xbox 360 controller. You can play with with a keyboard. I would probably recommend not doing that because it can be a little bit tricky, but you can if you want to. It gives you the option at the start of the game to decide which way you're going to go about it. Now, this here is a boss match here in casual mode. I'm not too sure if this is just the type of boss that's a little bit easier, or if it's a little bit easier because it's in casual mode, but I do manage to go quite well here. But another thing you can see, it's very, very Mega Man-esque with the bosses, with the small type arenas, with the boss sort of flying around, and you've got all these platforms that you can jump around and try and get your hits in with the health bar on the far right. And it's challenging, but at least sometimes you can get into ones where they're not too hard and you can actually get a win. So with this one, let's see how I go. Getting some good hits on there. And winner, winner, chicken dinner. And when you win a level like this, you get to come across here and pick up some bonuses. So that's a special weapon that I've picked up there. So if you press that, it's giving me rapid fire, and that uses the energy bar, which is below the health. Pick up a whole bunch of bolts and chips and all that sort of stuff that you can use to buy more things and go into a new generated level. So there you go, that is 20XX or 2000XX if you wish. It is in early access beta at the moment on Steam. You can go and pick it up, and from what I've seen from the dev updates on the Steam page, they're updating it frequently. And I've seen some old school footage of this, which is very, very different. So they're obviously continually working on this, and it's looking brilliant. So it's going to go places. I think this will be a successful hit for them. If you like the Mega Man style games, then you're very much going to like this game. I rate it 100% if anyone's a fan of platformers. So that's it. That's all I've got for today for 20XX. Give us a like, subscribe if you will, and make sure you check out this game on Steam. It's available now, and we'll catch you guys next time. I'm Lucas Aurelius for Aussie Gamers Express. Check us out on Facebook, and we've got a weekly podcast, and we also have a website, www.aussiegamersexpress.com. Catch us next time.